Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 2 and 5. Now Yahweh said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and I will bless thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came.
Shabbat Shalom. Our selection today, Bound for Canaan Land.
Where are you bound? Bound for Canaan land.
Oh, you must not lie.
You must not steal. You must not take Yah's name in vain. I'm bound for Canaan land. Your horse is white, your garment is bright. You look like a man of war. Raise up your head with courage, for your race is almost run. Where are you bound? Bound for Canaan land.
Oh, you must not lie.
You must not steal. You must not take Yah's name in vain. I'm bound for Canaan land.
Although you see me going on, I'm bound for Canaan land. I've many trials down here below, but I'm bound for Canaan land.
Where are you bound? Bound for Canaan land.
Oh, you must not lie.
You must not steal. You must not take Yah's name in vain. I'm bound for Canaan land. Your horse is white, your garment bright. You look like a man of war. Raise up your head with courage, Lord, for your race is almost run. Where are you bound? Bound for Canaan land.
Oh, you must not lie.
You must not steal. You must not take Yah's name in vain. I'm bound for Canaan land.
Although you see me going on, I'm bound for Canaan land. I've many trials down here below, but I'm bound for Canaan land.
Where are you bound? Bound for Canaan land.
Oh, you must not lie.
You must not steal. You must not take Yah's name in vain. I'm bound for Canaan land. Bound for Canaan land. Bound for Canaan land.
The Oracles of the UCI, 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you up on earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Latonia, Georgia. One of the things that, just reading the opening scripture for the choir, and Yahweh says, go to a place which I shall tell you of. One of the things that we have the biggest issue with is our little comfort zones. We will get complacent in some things, and understanding that we are creatures of habit. The adversary understands this. This is why he needs to get to us first and try and get us on his plan. Because what will happen is then we will automatically fight against anything that starts to go against the things that we have gotten accustomed to. This is why it took some of us so long to walk fully in the word, because we had gotten accustomed to other things. And those things, they start very, very early. I ended up seeing a new, a little cartoon for children that was is played for in the state of Wisconsin, 4th graders. And this cartoon was explaining to the children the difference between sex and gender. It said sex was, whether or not the person was born a boy or a girl, but gender is how you feel inside. So if you don't feel like the parts that you were born with, then you can, alter that decision. So why would this be told to a 4th grader? The adversary is deliberately trying to get to us to cause a certain mindset so that by the time we hear these songs of Zion, the songs of Zion have rules and regulations in it. You must not lie. You must not steal. You must not take Yah's name in vain. But the songs that we hear on Sunday morning were all about screaming and good times and saying, won't he do it? Now, we don't know what he gonna do. All right. And we don't know how he gonna do it. We don't know if there's any rules to him doing it, but we just say, won't he do it? And those are the things that we want to sing about. There's a reason why those things were brought to us first. Those things were brought to us so that when we hear that, no, there's structure to this, there's order to this. When it comes down to anything that we want to have for ourselves, we want structure and order from it. We want our own house. We want structure and order to that house. We don't want a house that they built the top floor before they built the bottom. Every time the wind blows, that house gonna move. We don't want to live in that kind of house. We want to live in something that was set up with order. We want to operate in something that was structured in order. But then when it comes time for us to do what we're supposed to do for our Elohim, now we have a problem with order. So the adversary knows that he can get into this little small opening, just like a rat gets into the smallest opening. It's just the smallest little opening. You will not surely die. That's the only little opening that he needs to get in and say, you don't have to follow the order and you're still going to be all right. Matter of fact, you're going to be better if you don't follow the order. You're going to be like a god if you do this thing against what you're being told. So the overspreading doesn't start as an overspreading. It starts as a little drop, a little thing that is like a continual dropping. And that continual little drop will wear away the foundation of anything. Water can carve rock. Water. Now, you take one piece of water by itself and you just, how's this going to carve a rock? Just let it keep dripping. A continual drip will change the entire landscape. The ground will change, the rock will change, everything changes by the continual drop. So this is how the adversary comes at us. Sometimes we're looking for this big, huge machine. We're looking for the tank that's shooting out fiery missiles. And here he is with one little drop of water. And he just keeps dropping it on you. But you keep going past him because surely he can't be the guy with the water bucket. I mean, hey, how can he be my enemy? You know, I'm definitely looking for somebody with a bazooka. So you go right past that. But that little thing that he got us accustomed to will completely and utterly change our focus and our end result by just letting it do what it does. We're going to begin today's sermon in Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24, and we're going to read verses 1 through 14.
Matthew chapter 24 and verse 1. And Yahshua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the building of the temple. And Yahshua said unto them, See you not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down.
Right. So if you're using the building, if you're using the edifice to uphold you in your practices, if you're using the building and all the rights thereof to uphold your faith, you're about to have some problems. You're about to have some problems because it's not going to be there. So if you don't have Yahweh in here, you're going to have some problems. Sometimes you hear people talking about the good old days. You ever taken the consideration that you might be in them right now? And there's certain things that we end up taking for granted. Well, I might show up to church this week. I got some other things going on. Then we get to the point where we got that journey that we got to make. Oh, you're going to miss every day you didn't come. Oh, you're going to miss everything. See, then when you ain't got nothing, then you're going to think about, man, I could have put more into the church, but I really had my own, little projects that I did. See, once we all get put on square one and start over, because see, we won't be able to carry none of this. Now we can decorate this place as nice as we can. That's why we're here. But it's gonna be a nice fish tank just like everything else here. We're not gonna be able to carry it with us. So it's gonna come a point that all we have not done, we are not going to do. And ain't no bagging back. I wish, I woulda, I shoulda, I coulda. It's a done deal. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came on to him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall all these things be? And what shall be the sign of your coming and of the end of the world? And Yahshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed one, and shall deceive many.
Now, the only time that that's even profitable is when a people are in a position where they need saving. There's certain individuals and certain groups of people who don't feel as though they need saving. They don't need a Mashiach. Why would they need a Christ? They have everything they want. Go ahead.
And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places.
Right. Now, some of those events are man-made. Man has found a way to manipulate weather, found a way to manipulate so-called natural events, but that's just like their father, the devil. When the fire shot out of heaven in the book of Job, they said the fire of Elohim. That wasn't Elohim. That was the adversary, the devil, having fire shoot out of heaven. And people want to tell you, how he locked up in the ground. Well, he sure found a way to make fire shoot from the top. Now, how you figure that out from down there? Go ahead.
All these are the beginnings of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
So you're talking about a great span of time in between all of these things that Yahshua is mentioning. Understand, we're already at 2,000 years, that has passed. For nation shall rise up against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places. These are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted. They've spread us all across the globe to be afflicted. You get on some of these back roads out here, it won't take long, because the entire DeKalb County was not open. I was saying that to a brother, and he was like, because he's not from here. He didn't really get that you go back to a certain part of town, a time there were no black people in this area whatsoever. Not like a few of us. No, I mean like none, like zero, like zilch, like nada. You understand? None. And you'll go past some of these houses and you'll see the house sit way back. And you see the little house on the side. You're seeing a piece of history right there. You're seeing the slave quarters next to the house. And you see in the house that they worked in. And it might have been all manner of evil happening inside that little house. We talking about whatever they wanted to do to a person was legal in that house. Go ahead.
And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another.
We're right there now. We're right there now. Go ahead.
And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because lawlessness shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
Right. The false prophets have deceived many. Whenever the prophet asks you for $1,000 for the prophecy, I don't remember Yahshua having his ATM card with him and charging for any of the things that he pronounced among those people. Not one. I'm talking about not one. He didn't heal the blind man and say, "Oh man, hey man, how much you think your sight worth?" Can you make payments on it? Put something on your sight. Put something on it. You like seeing, don't you? Then look, don't make me come back here. You know what I'm saying? Because I will confiscate that sight. Did anybody read anything like that? Because I sure don't remember reading anything like that. But I remember being up Sunday morning and standing in the $1,000 prophet line that I had to pay $1,000 to get that prophet line. That's why when Yahweh send you have to think about, he sent Moshe right in the home of Pharaoh. Snatched him out, then taught him how to be a priest by being under some other priest way over here. Then brought him back and said, all right, now go over there and get your people. Why did he have to be under Pharaoh? He made him learn everything about how Pharaoh operates. So one thing, when Israel got ready to do something wrong, he can tell when they was half doing it, when they wasn't doing it, when they was thinking about doing it, and what they were dreaming about doing. He was like, I can see where you was moving. I know what you're thinking. Well, sometimes that's why Yahweh don't make your path straightforward. That your path, he make you run around a few circles, down some hills. And you say, man, why didn't he just bring me straight to the word? Now I understand. Because now I can sit in this place and I can tell who playing. I can tell who's serious about the word. I can tell who just serious about congregating. I can tell who loved their creator. Why? Because he made me go down some hills, around some bends, and down in some deep valleys. And you learn some stuff. You not only learn some stuff about yourself, you learn who you started with, and you look around and you see, interesting. Now those things that you saw in the beginning, years later, you know what they mean. So then when somebody walked through the door on day one, you can say, oh, I know what that is. I've seen that before. I know what that is. And then you just sit there and wait. That's what experience does for you. And it's the experience that none of us want to get. We want everything to work out all the time. But I'm telling you, you're going to miss some things if it work out all the time. You're not going to be able to say, I know what that is. Go ahead.
But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come.
Well, the question was, when shall the end be? All right? The question was, when shall the end be? All right, verse 14, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all the nations. So what happened? The nations have to end up hearing the word so that righteous judgment is correctly administered. How can he hold you responsible for something that you haven't had an opportunity to hear? What if he said the only way you can be judged is if you heard it in Hebrew? We say, well, hey, Yahweh, hey, look here. You sent me, you know what I'm saying, to Birmingham. And I ain't talking about England, Birmingham. You in Birmingham. You know what I'm talking about? So I don't know whatever that is. So I am hell blameless. Now, put it in English. Somebody else say, well, you know what? I was raised in South America. You know what? Put it in Spanish. So the nations have to be held accountable. You can't hold somebody accountable. And this is something that people don't really understand when they're pushing the things that they want, the way that they want it to be. You don't understand. If it's only one language that you can understand the word in, he can only hold one group of people accountable. He would only be able to hold the Hebrews accountable. And he would only be able to hold the Hebrews who speak Hebrew. And I'm not talking that Yiddish. He would only be able to hold a group of people responsible. He said, this must be preached unto all the world for a witness. So while they dancing and going across the stage and doing all of that, they are making themselves ripe for judgment. You're not just coming here to hear some good stuff. You're going to grow, but you're also going to be held accountable for the things that he knows you have heard. And you got to understand, he might have put the person who got to bring that to you through a certain amount of turmoil so that they would say it to you. That's one thing I had to realize with being a teacher, that all the trouble you go through ain't about you. He might make me go through hell, so I say one thing, and then it'll be somebody in the back of the room say, how the hell you know that? I don't know what they're talking about. But that's how Yahweh can hold us accountable. So then he's going to make sure that this word must be preached in all of the kingdoms so that they can have righteous judgment. Then shall the end come. So then what we were always waiting for was for the word to be preached to everybody. See, we take it for granted that all of us had this sitting on our coffee table. Well, he had to get this on a lot more coffee tables. And then judgment cometh. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 28. Isaiah 28, and we're going to read verses 5 through 13.
Verse 5. In that day shall Yahweh of hosts be for a crown of glory, and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people, and for a spirit of judgment to him that sits in judgment, and for strength to them that turn the battle to the gate.
And for a spirit of judgment to him that sits in judgment. Go ahead.
But they also have erred through wine, and through strong drink are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. They are swallowed up of wine. They are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision. They stumble in judgment.
Right. This is the doctrine. That strange doctrine that we have taken a hold of has us walking like a drunken man. An adversary makes sure that he gives us his doctrine first. He makes sure that he's the first to approach you. And it's just like, it's the same way with anybody else who tries to be slick. They always want to be the first one to tell their story. And if you notice, they can't tell their story in front of everybody. They got to pull you to the side. Why you can't tell that story? If you just tell that story one time in front of all 50 of us, then you don't have to tell that 49 more times. Unless you have to alter it each time you tell it. because this person you can't tell this to. That one you can't tell that to. This one you want to tell this and that. This one you don't want to tell none of that. Then there's something wrong. That's why you got to keep telling the same story over and over and over again. Go ahead.
For all tables are full of vomit and filthiness, so that there is no place clean. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. For with stammering lips and another language will I speak to this people.
With stammering lips and another tongue, which is a language, will he speak to this people. So this whole pause that the children of Israel was asking Yeshua about, oh, no. Now your people have to hear this. And they're not going to hear it in the language that we speaking in right now. They're going to hear it in whatever language. He says, I'm going to spread them all across the globe. But then he's got to make sure that the gospel is available in every last one of those languages wherein he has scattered Israel. If you didn't put it in Spanish, there's a huge chunk of our people who have no opportunity for righteous judgment or for change. Go ahead.
To whom he said, this is the rest wherewith you may cause the weary to rest, and this is the refreshing, yet they would not hear.
Yet they would not hear. Go to verse 13.
But the word of Yahweh was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken.
All right. So then now let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. He says, another language will I speak to this people. You know, I remember getting into great debates about people swearing how much you needed to know or speak Hebrew or you wasn't really in the word. From all of the things that are happening now, I always ask them, okay, so what great benefit is it going to be for me to be able to speak this language if we have to then go and remove the infidels out of the land? We still have to get to that point. I see people who speak Arabic being of more value than people who speak Hebrew. You got to get there first. What you going to say? Hey, man, when we get there, we're going to be good. Yeah, but we're going to spend more time getting there than being, I mean, hey, once you're there, you're there. But how you going to get there? It would be more valuable to speak the languages of the places that you got to go through. But maybe that's just me. Deuteronomy chapter 28. And I want you to read verse 49.
Yahweh shall bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies. A nation whose language you shall not understand.
A nation whose language you shall not understand. Now, this is also setting up for where Yahweh has given us these rules and regulations, right? But then we decided that we're not going to deal with them wholeheartedly. As we then begin to be forced into another language, understand all of that pomp and circumstance that we have placed within the temple, within our language, within our culture, all that's gone. The slaves were robbed of every bit of that. And then the next generation knew nothing but slavery. It didn't take but one generation and it was removed. After that, all we can do is pass on stories. Culture gone. And these are the things that we learn to appreciate. When we have culture And it says, okay, you have to dress a certain way. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. All right, well, all right, I'll tell you what, I'll remove the culture. All right, give me all your clothes. I'm sorry, what? No, give me all your clothes. No, I want you butt naked as you can. Come on, get everything. No, leave that bow in your hair. Leave the bow in your hair. But everything else, go ahead and bring it on. All right, now go ahead and walk down Candler Road. Go ahead and walk down. No. This is what you wanted, right? Now all of a sudden we want culture back. See, we push Yahweh to a point to where he says, all right, I'm going to show you. He says you're going to be hungry and naked in want of all things. So what we want to do is embrace the things of the nations. We want to embrace their culture, learn, their foulness. And Yahweh said, all right, I'll tell you what. Let's do it all the way. Don't show half your behind. Show all of it. Show all of it. Show the whole thing. Now we feel violated. Why you? No. Don't show half your tail. This is how, you have to understand how Yahweh operates. Children of Israel asked for a king. He said, all right, it's not a good thing that you ask. But I tell you what, I'm going to give you what you asked for. And you're going to be wanting to give it back once you get it. But ain't no return policy on this king. Ain't no return policy. All right? Once you get it, you own it. Did you finish that, brother?
Yes.
All right. I want you to go to Jeremiah chapter 5 and read verse 15. I just want to read that one verse.
Lo, I'll bring a nation upon you from far, O house of Israel, says Yahweh. It is a mighty nation. It is an ancient nation, a nation whose language you knoweth not, neither understand what they say.
Now, people say, well, wait a minute now. America wasn't no ancient nation. America wasn't no, that was a newly formed nation. Was it America who came and got us? I think we're forgetting about how we got here. Wasn't America that came and got us? All right? No. You getting confused with where we ended up with who came and got us. No. And you got to understand who in charge of those voyages. The same people behind the scenes with this conflict that's going on in the so-called made-up term of Middle East. They still having tea and crumpets while everybody is out killing themselves. And you ain't seen them in one television program. You ain't seen them suffer no anything. But I guarantee you, all those strings are being pulled from over there. We kind of forget who put those people in the land and told the world that they were Jews. Britain. America came after that. So, and when it comes down to it, everybody keeps saying, yeah, it's America that did it. It's America. Tea and crumpets done slid to the back. Tea and crumpets done slid, and everybody's saying it's her that's making this possible. She is promoting this genocide. Tea and crumpets is still over there. This is getting interesting. Tea and crumpets ain't feeling no heat and no smoke. But this is their creation. Brother, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 14. I went to try to look for, the so-called 50 crowns that Charles was supposed to have, and it was interesting in how difficult it was to really find all of those things. There's certain things that they really just don't want you, discussing like that. And there's other things where it may look like, those people gained their independence. Yeah, but if you kind of control their government and their money, they really have not gained any independence at all. What you did was gave them a pretend makeshift head. It's like, all right, we're going to give you this action figure. All right, now when I push this button, you do that. Now if I push the button fast, now you, all right? All right, now got to practice, all right? One button. All right, now two buttons. All right, good. They still in control. They control everything that you have. You do not have independence. Okay. Go ahead, brother.
1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 18.
All right.
I thank my Elohim. I speak with languages more than you all.
Uh-huh.
Yet in the church, I had rather speak 5 words with my understanding, that by my voice I might teach others also.
So him just understanding Hebrew was not profitable when he came out. It became profitable as he went to other places, that now he understands how to speak these other languages. This is a man who was born abroad. So he automatically learned these other languages. Now this is an asset as he goes to those other people. He can't go to them and profess the word of Elohim and saying, now all you need to do is learn this other language and you're going to be good. Who can you introduce to the gospel that way? Go ahead.
Than 10,000 words in an unknown language. Brethren, be not children in understanding, howbeit in malice be you children, but in understanding be men. In the law it is written, with men of other languages and other lips will I speak unto this people.
All right, in the law. So there's reasons why we read what we read. We go back to Deuteronomy 28. Then we go back to the prophet in Jeremiah 5. Now you have the New Testament. It says, let everything be proven over 2 or 3 witnesses. We're not just doing some stuff just to be doing it. Go ahead.
And yet for all that will they not hear me, says the Adonai. Wherefore languages are for a sign, not to them that believe, but to them that believe not.
Right.
But prophesying serveth not for them that believe not, but for them which believe. If therefore the whole church be come together into one place, and all speak with languages, and there come in those that are unlearned or unbelievers, will they not say that you are mad?
Right. So when somebody come and start speaking that goo gobbler and talking about they speaking in tongues, where's the interpreter? Where is the interpreter who's supposed to tell us what he said? What? And then people talking about, amen. I can't amen that. I don't know what he just said. Amen means I agree. So let it be. I agree with what that. How can I agree with something that I don't understand? Go ahead.
Brother, and I'm sure you did it too. We all took foreign language in school.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, we didn't think to say, okay, how is this going to benefit me? What position am I going to be where this is going to be a profit to me later on?
Mm-hmm.
So we learned these languages, not immersed in a community or a job where we need to use it. So it fell by the wayside anyway.
Exactly. You don't speak that stuff, and you stay away. You don't even run into those people anymore. And before you know it, all you know is buenos noches. I hate roaches. That's it. You don't know nothing else. You don't know nothing else. It all is gone. It is gone, Jack. You got to go around them people. Now you start going somewhere and you start using it. Now it's sticking. Go ahead.
Verse 24. But if all prophesy, and there come in one that believes not, or one unlearned, he is convinced of all, he is judged of all. And thus are the secrets of his heart made manifest. And so falling down on his face, he will worship Elohim and report that Elohim is in you of a truth. How is it then, brethren, when you come together, every one of you has a psalm, has a doctrine, has a language, has a revelation, has an interpretation? Let all things be done unto edifying. If any man speak in an unknown language, let it be by 2, or at the most by 3, and that by course, and let one interpret.
Right. Let somebody tell us what he said. Yet you'll go into these Sunday churches and they have classes on how to speak in tongues. The one class I didn't see was the one where it says how to interpret tongues. That's the class that missed. How you have a class on speaking something and no class on interpreting? Go ahead.
But if there be no interpreter, let him keep silence in the church.
Right. So we would have been wrong if we'd have just said, hey, somebody was in the middle of, hey man, shut up. Now see, we'd have been wrong then. We'd have been wrong. See? Somebody with one of them big hats would have came, you mother's boy, come here, baby. You being just rude on this wonderful Sunday morning. Well, he need to shut up, because nobody know what he's talking about. God know what he's saying. Yeah, okay. That?
At that point, you'd be called the devil.
Exactly. But this book says, let him shut up. That's what I read. If ain't nobody telling us what he said, then tell him to shut up. Go ahead.
And let him speak to himself and to Elohim.
There it is. Shut up. Go ahead.
Let the prophet speak 2 or 3, and let the other judge. If anything be revealed to another that sits by, let the first hold his peace.
And let me tell you something. If he speak to himself, who's being edified anyway? Who is being edified if you speak in an unknown language and don't nobody know it but you? How are you even edifying you? Shut up. You could have thought that. You didn't have to say, do I have to say my thoughts to hear myself think it? All right. If don't nobody understand me but me, I don't have to open my mouth at all. I just think it. Go ahead.
For you may all prophesy one by one, that all may learn and all may be comforted. And the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. For Elohim is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak.
Now this caused a lot of problems now in New Testament. Now a lot of people says that don't read that old Testament. It's just that old mean God. That mean God is back there. When they get to this part right here, they are definitely done with Corinthians before they get to let your women keep silent in the church, because half of them have woman pastors. Go ahead.
But they are commanded to be under obedience, as also says the law. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church. What? Came the word of Elohim out from you, or came it unto you only? If any man think himself to be a prophet or spiritual, let him acknowledge that the things that I write unto you are the commandments of the Adonai.
Now, why did he have to go that far? Go ahead.
But if any man be ignorant, let him be ignorant. Wherefore, brethren, covet to prophesy, and forbid not to speak with languages. Let all things be done decently and in order.
Right. So you're not forbidden to speak with them, but let's go ahead and do it according to the order. All right, where's your interpreter? Let's have all of these things. See, these gifts are there so that righteous judgment. We then go right back to the law, because it is the reason all of these languages are being spoken is so the word can be disseminated to all these other individuals, which in turn makes the law righteous, because a man has heard what he or she is supposed to do, and they just decided what they were going to do. So we got to go into this other part. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 2, because not speaking in the church cause a lot of issues right there. And what is it about is usurping authority over a man. For 1 Timothy chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 11. We're going to read verses 11 through 15.
Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence.
This is what the whole thing is about. And he's going to go into some things concerning that. Go ahead.
For Adam was first formed, then Eve.
Order. Remember, the last thing we read was let everything be done decent and in order. All right, go ahead.
And Adam was not deceived. But the woman being deceived was in the transgression.
This is what the reason was about. See, because the adversary knew that he can appeal to her feelings. It wasn't about her being less intelligent. In a lot of instances, she's more intelligent. The problem is those feelings. He was able to get what it says. Adam was not deceived. He wasn't deceived. But look at how powerful the woman was. She could be deceived, but then have so much power that she convinced somebody who wasn't deceived. He said, oh, no. Don't let her talk. Don't let her talk. It wasn't because she's less powerful. It's because she's more powerful. He said, now that's dangerous right there. They tell you when you pull up at the gas station, look, don't be smoking no cigarettes while there's gas out here now. It's going to be an explosion. Hey, be careful how you deal with D right here. Because this got some power to it. We're talking about Adam was not deceived, yet he transgressed. Hers actually makes more sense than his. She was deceived and transgressed. He transgressed, but he wasn't deceived. Do you understand how much power that means the other one has? It convinced you to transgress. It didn't trick you. A lot of people can be tricked into transgressing. No. Adam was convinced to transgress. That's something totally different. You can get tricked at the quick trip. But being convinced, even when you know better, that is something altogether different. He was convinced. He knew exactly what was told. It was told him. So understand, when a lot of times we have a problem with certain rules because we don't understand why they were put there. And then that causes some silent rebellion against the word and against Yahweh. But the funny part about it is, everywhere we went should have already been here. A lot of us are hearing this because we came into the word. I'm sorry, but you really should have heard that on Sunday morning. So whatever anger you're feeling, back it back about 10 years. You should have already heard it. This ain't in the Old Testament. You should have already heard it before you got here. Go ahead.
Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith and love and holiness with sobriety.
Right, which is something that is not really valued anymore. The whole part of childbearing, things have completely changed to be about more about the careers of people more than childbearing. Let's go to Matthew chapter 24. We're going to go back and start at 15. Matthew 24, and start that at verse 15.
When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso reads, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
Now, we have to consider the large amount of time in between some of these verses here. So, a lot of times we'll read something and we don't really consider, we think each part of that is taking place one right behind another. You might have verse 14 and then 2,000 years and then verse 15. Go ahead.
Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child and to them that give suck in those days. But pray you that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Shabbat day, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here's the Mashiach, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false messiahs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
These things are going to be so miraculous in sight that it's going to almost deceive the very elect. I mean, almost. I mean, just so compelling that somebody who really knows will say, man, that one almost got me. Now, if it almost deceives the very elect, what about the people who just kind of hang around the word? I'm talking about it almost deceives those who really in it. What about the ones who just hang around? Oh, they're going to be gone. Oh, they're going to be gone. They are going to be deceived. You don't, sometimes we'll read past that one thing and all that's on our mind is what's written there. Almost that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So the only ones we're thinking about is the very elect because that's the only thing that's there. All right. Everybody ain't the very elect. So what about the others? If it almost deceived the greatest one, what about everybody else? Now ask yourself, where are you in this? Are you part of the very elect? Or are you part of those that kind of hang out? Okay. One thing for sure. Sooner or later, we're going to see. Go ahead.
Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning comes out of the east, and shines even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together.
You know, one of the things, you read something like that, man, but until you really be around, I went to the dump, had to dump some trash, and you see them vultures and all them birds that's at the trash site, man. Oh, man, you understand. Well, there's a large amount of carnage. Those birds are everywhere. I mean, one movement and 300 birds just fly up at one time. And you're like, whoa, and that's just the ones over on this side. And they stay all around everywhere. He says, where the carcasses are, you're going to find those large birds of prey devouring those things. Now we're talking about a serious situation of judgment. And a lot of times we have a tendency to believe that judgment is only something that's being dealt with in the Old Testament. We don't see judgment in the New Testament. We think that all of this is, God is love. But what's happening is the adversary, the devil, has given us this really sanitized view of what Christ is and what he's all about. So we have seen this Gentile with blue eyes, and that's the image that we have been given. And he loves everybody. He's not angry. He doesn't do any of those things. But when we read this, we find out it's something different. He's talking about judgment here in the book that everybody else told us is all about love. Now, we've all been waiting for the Pope as the leader of the Gentile world to stand in the holy place as the abomination of desolation. We were not considering that the very minute the Euro Gentiles were given the place of authority in the land that Yahweh had inspired for himself, The overspreading of desolation was always set in motion. Let's go to Daniel chapter 9. And I mean, all we got to do right now is just look up. And we're seeing an enormous amount of desolation. But we're still waiting for another person, not understanding the people who were put there for a reason and for a purpose. This was always, we should have always asked ourselves, why does any one little country need that much weaponry? You don't get that much weaponry unless you plan on using it. And I mean, you don't need that much weaponry to go against these people with sticks. It's just not gonna happen. You do not need that much. So there's always been some kind of plan in order, when you get right down to it, of a broader scale, if you will. Daniel chapter 9, and I want to read verses 24 through 27.
70 weeks are determined upon your people and upon your holy city to finish the transgressions and to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for lawlessness and to bring in everlasting righteousness and to seal up the vision and prophecy and to anoint the most holy.
So there has to be a reconciliation for lawlessness? Go ahead.
Know, therefore, and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem onto the Messiah, the prince shall
Stop. I hear a lot of one-bookers, and they don't believe in the Messiah. These are the people that said they only believe in the Old Testament. They said, where y'all getting this Savior from? Oh, okay, so wait. So you only read the Old Testament. Didn't you just read about the Messiah?
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. When they said, the children of Israel said, are you the one who should come or should we wait for another? The one booker said that, y'all, it's a figment of y'all imagination. Well, wait a minute. Now, this is the one book that you're supposed to believe in because you said you only believed in the Old Testament. This is Old Testament. And they're talking about a Messiah. So what parts of the Old Testament do they deal with? Because this is clearly talking about a Messiah. But when I used to run, especially before I had ever come across that, you'd run into these old covenant people and they would act like that, anybody who believe in a Christ done been hanging around the white man and the white man done told you about a savior. Wait a minute. Who's white in Daniel? Wait a minute. Was this book not there when you was reading? Go ahead.
And to build Jerusalem onto the Messiah, the prince, shall be 7 weeks, and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. And after 62 weeks shall the Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood. And unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations.
And for the overspreading of abominations, go ahead.
He shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate.
Right. So then we're talking about this period of time. In biblical time, we have a day for a year, so we start going into these weeks, so they're multiplying that by 7. One thing that we have a problem in getting into is people start getting into all the equations, but the one part of that, it's like having E equals MC squared, but you're not sure exactly what M is. So we assume exactly when Yahweh's starting. That's why Jehovah's Witnesses have so many prophecies, and after a while, they eventually just got out of the prophecy game. They just left it alone because it was a constant one. You keep assuming that you know when this started. That's a very dangerous thing. You may have the right equation, but when he tells you that no man knows the day or the hour, he meant that because we gonna cheat. We gonna cheat. We're going to act a fool all the way up until 2 days before judgment. And then we're going to turn into thou, thee, thithereth. No, you think you think he was born yesterday? No, you were. He was. He not finna fall for that trick. So he's not going to let us figure that part out. He gives you, I realize that I ain't never figured nothing out. I get what he give me. I ain't never figured nothing out. Posey, you figured this out? I ain't figured nothing out. I found out 5 minutes before you did. And that's when he let me have it. And as long as you stay right there, you'll be all right. Now, it is written that there shall be false messiahs. These individuals will appear righteous as as they come to bring peace to a conflict that they themselves have ushered in. In this sort of warfare, the flow of information becomes critical. With the flow of information, one may be esteemed as more righteous or more understanding simply by restricting certain details from public view. The opposite is also true. Another may be esteemed to be less righteous because the true reasons for their decisions are unknown to the masses. Therefore, they appear to be less understanding and less righteous because they refuse to expose the secrets of others so that they might appear more righteous unto men. Those are indeed spiritual sacrifices that only will be rewarded by the Creator of all things. When we go back and examine the reason for women keeping silent in the church, it was directly connected to how information was received and perceived. I ended up getting a email about something, but I had watched a couple of social media posts about how Israel is paying influencers to say that they support Israel in this conflict. But when you get right down to it, what is that? There's already a large control of the media itself. But what's less controllable is social media. So now some of that has to be corralled in. So not only were there influencers saying that they were offered money to say that they support Israel, there were people who ended up finding posts that they didn't make. They found a post saying that they support Israel. And then that post went to all of the people in their feed. And they said, I didn't do this. It has their image. It looked like it came from their site, from them, but it didn't come from them. They didn't put the thing out saying that. And these are Gentiles saying, I didn't say I support Israel. So you are now having another situation where there is this control of the flow of information. This is a part of warfare. And one of the things I want to get into, it was concerning Bill Cosby decided that he was going to buy NBC. At a point, Bill Cosby was on top of the world. All right. But we don't really understand how powerful it is controlling the flow of information. And he really didn't understand what kind of dangerous game he was in. So, brother, I want you to start reading this. This is from a Vanity Fair article. The article was originally published in 1993, but then was revamped in 2015. And it was called Bill Cosby's Big Adventure. So they added some things to it. Start reading that for me. We're just going to read a piece of it because the article itself is extremely long, but it's very, very informative. Go ahead.
Last November 30th, during a fundraising dinner for Mayor Dinkins' re-election campaign, Cosby, the MC, was expected to deliver a light-hearted speech. Instead, he went on a riff about Jewish-black relations in the aftermath of the Crown Heights riots.
Now, I want to bring something up. Now, is this coincidence that each and every last one of our mega stars who have a run-in with Jewish people have a humongous downfall? Whether you know it or not, Michael Jackson had one of those run-ins. We know that Kanye had those run-ins. We know that Dave Chappelle had some of those same run-ins, and there's this large problem with their image that happens directly after the altercation. So, is it a coincidence? Go ahead.
Which pitted Hasidim living in Brooklyn neighborhood against African American residents. Cosby repeatedly referred to the appearance of the Hasidic demonstrators outside the Dinkins event. Their beards, their hats, their dark coats, their high-strung tension. You are a young man on the sidewalk, he said to one demonstrator, with a beard, and that's all you are, one vote. I was there, and I have always been predisposed to like Bill Cosby, one Wall Street executive told me later. His comments were making fun of Jewish people. As Cosby spoke, Dinkins' deputy mayor, Bill Lynch, emitted a string of small, choking sounds.
In other words, you're letting him know that this ain't the way to go. This ain't the way to go. Go ahead.
A Newsday columnist wrote, Dinkins, for his part, looked shell-shocked. Cosby says he wasn't sure if the demonstrators were actually Hasidim. If I was wrong, I'll take the hit on that. I didn't mean to belittle Hasidic Jews. 6 months later, on the Arsenio Hall show, Cosby decreed the new wave of Def Jam style African American comics as black people making fools and minstrels of themselves.
All right. So at this point, he's making some statements. Go ahead.
While Hall squirmed in his seat at first, Cosby also railed against HBO for not showcasing minority comics unless you undignify your Africanness, unless you become what they think is black. Some have applauded Cosby's own idea of what is black, especially his demands that TV provide African American characters more realistic than the extremes of Aunt Jemima and Boys in the Hood.
All right, he is seriously ruffling some feathers here, but you have to understand at this point, he has the #1 show, and he created the show. Nobody wanted to even get behind him, but that then made him even richer because he created the show himself, and he put his own money behind making it. And it shot to #1 immediately. They said, man, this ain't even no realistic. A black doctor and a black lawyer, people ate it up. They ate it up. They said, this ain't even realistic. They ate it up. Go ahead.
But critics have been tougher, suggesting that Cosby's idea of what constitutes black is a product of his own peculiar reality, a world cushioned by celebrity, where the air conditioner of fame has cooled the harsh edges of experience and created a perspective as smoothly rounded and perfectly marketable as a frozen Jell-O pudding pop.
Now, they definitely threw some shade there, but you see where he's going about how blacks were being portrayed. Look at TV. It kept going absolutely horrible, but somebody had to be moved out the way. Somebody had to be moved out of the way so that the flow of information would not come this way. And what happened? These accusers, you have to look, it's very interesting in some of this time frame. In 1993, he says he wants to buy NBC. They say Cosby don't have enough. Okay, yeah, you made $300 million. That's a lot of money for a black man. But look here, this right here gonna cost $3 billion. Over a series, a couple of years, he got some investors and everything behind him. Guess what? Cosby had 3, 4, 5 billion. Now it's time to do something about this Negro. He actually was able to get the money up. Okay, so then you have him completely changed. The situation with Michael Jackson, and we know there was a recording where Michael Jackson was talking about what the Jewish people had done unto him. But one of the things, Michael had also put together a proposal. He was going to buy Marvel. They didn't want to sell it to Michael. They eventually sold it to another man. But it was Michael's idea to put together these superhero movies. Mike wanted to play Spider-Man. Mike said, look, because he already thought he was Peter Pan. Why not be Spider-Man? As Mike gets his money up, guess what then starts coming out? Allegations. It is absolutely amazing when you go back. See, these old printed articles can't be unprinted. The whole flow of information is all about what's flowing right now, but you can't unflow it. But to do that, you got to back up. You got to back up and go see some things, because at this point, because some other things have not happened, they don't know which things to hold back. Once the ball starts rolling, then they know, okay, we got to go and destroy this and take it off. The Georgia Guidestones were standing the whole time they were talking about the plan to annihilate a certain number of people off of the earth. Soon as it started happening, they went and blew up the Georgia Guidestones. Because at some point, somebody was going to look and start reading, wait a minute. Ain't this happening right now? No. Blow that up. Blow that up. Now, we done got too close. Blow that up. Very, very interesting. Let's go to Numbers chapter 16. This is why if you're looking at Al Jazeera, the channel gonna stop about 4 times. And you keep trying to figure out, why is this channel stopping? There's certain information that is not deemed appropriate for the desired effect that the powers that be want to happen. So if you think Bill Cosby had a problem then with the things on television, think about the things that are being shown now. But they've completely erased his voice. Nobody is going to listen to anything that he has to say at this point, because we have that problem. Once we hear of one wrong thing that somebody said an individual does or did, now everything that they have said now comes into question. There are people that said, they said Martin Luther King was a womanizer. He might have been. What the hell I got to do with that other stuff that he was talking about? So now all that's going to be erased? But that's how we operate. Numbers chapter 16. Let's start at verse 1.
Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan and Abiram, the son of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men. And they rose up before Moshe with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. And they gathered themselves together against Moshe and against Aaron, and said unto them, You take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and Yahweh is among them. Wherefore then lift you up yourselves above the congregation of Yahweh.
So at this point, after this man has done all of the changing of his life, to be in the place to bring Israel out, he has had to go through, like, I mean, several life changes. I'm talking major life changes. Now we all on the same level. See, this is Israel for you. After everything has been set, not one of them stood before Pharaoh. But they say every last one of us holy. All right, what? Tell me where you were standing when they were trying to kill me again. What was your? Because I'm trying to figure out, was you here? Because I don't remember seeing you. I looked to my left, and I looked to my right, and you know what I didn't see? You. Now, how did all of us get on the same level today? But it's important that we know our people. We'll stand by while everybody else toils and work. And then all of a sudden, we all on the same level. Where was you when Israel will sit there and let you put your livelihood in jeopardy, your house in jeopardy, your everything in jeopardy? After all that is said and done, then they want to be on the same level. Ain't put nothing in jeopardy. This man done had to fear for his life. But all of a sudden now, everybody on the same level now. This your people. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at this situation because here they come with this, the whole congregation holy. Y'all didn't learn from Miriam? And now Aaron catching a taste of his own medicine. Who's a part of that?
Well, hey, Miriam is part of how this got this. Now they didn't learn from her because she thinking, or they thinking, well, you know what? It was because she was a woman. But this going to be different because these men, and it's 250 of us. You don't get 250 people by starting yesterday. They had some little rebellion meetings. You know, it's the same thing. We'll do it differently. We'll have like rebellion outings. You know, you want to go jogging with me? So they'll be jogging. You know, I don't really like the way things are going. You know, that's interesting. I don't either. Right. How you think they got them 250? Right. They kept having these little outings together, and they're recruiting with the outings. Go ahead. And you wonder why you didn't get recruited. You didn't get invited to one of them recruited outings. Because they know you wasn't going to agree. That's why you didn't get invited. Go ahead.
And when Moshe heard it, he fell upon his face. And he spake unto Korah and unto all his company, saying, Even tomorrow Yahweh will show who are his, and who is holy, and will cause him to come near unto him. Even him whom he has chosen will he cause to come near unto him. This do, take you censers, Korah and all his company, and put fire therein, and put incense in them before Yahweh tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom Yahweh does choose, he shall be holy. You take too much upon you, you sons of Levi.
Now, why he got to go out there and say, okay, you claim we all on the same level. Let's see whose offering he accept. I keep telling you, sometimes people take it for granted. They just think that because you offer something, that Yahweh gonna accept it. He know when it's something strange in the offering. Let's see who offering he accept. We don't even think like that. You think that because you offered it, he accepted it. No. He said, I'm going to see whose offering he accept. It's a blessing for Yahweh to even accept your offering. We think it's a blessing for us to give it. We don't think that you might want to consider how you do that to make sure that he does accept it. This is why they could look and say, you see that woman who put in them 2 mics? She gave more than everybody in. Why? Because I know what she got. That's how I can tell you that's the realest offering in here. Yep, she give 2 pennies. Yeah, but she ain't got no more pennies though. Now that's the realest thing that done came across here. Go ahead.
And Moshe said unto Korah, Hear, I pray you, you sons of Levi, seemeth it but a small thing unto you, that the El of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel.
Right. You don't respect that he has already given you a place, that now you want to make everything evil and be even and be on the same place as the high priest? Go ahead.
To bring you near to himself, to do the service of the tabernacle of Yahweh, and to stand before the congregation to minister unto them. And he has brought you near to him, and all your brethren, the sons of Levi, with you, and seek you the priesthood also, for which cause both you and all your company are gathered together against Yahweh. And what is Aaron, that you murmur against him?
Yeah, this is where, sometimes this is how Yahweh, get you back. Because, you look at, hey, Aaron was not there with leprosy.
Mm-hmm.
He was not there with the bright white skin outside with Miriam. But Yahweh like, it's all right, you gonna get it though.
Mm-hmm.
You want to feel it. You like rebellion, huh? Let me show you what it feel like. Show you what it feel like when all eyes on you. Go ahead.
And Moshe sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, which said, We will not come up. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of the land that flows with milk and honey, to kill us in this wilderness, except you make yourself altogether a prince over us?
Now, remember now, these are very people who said, do not let Elohim speak to us, but you speak to Elohim and then come and tell us. Now they say you have made yourself altogether a prince over us. No, I'm pretty sure that was you. I'm pretty sure that was you. Go ahead.
Moreover, you have not brought us into a land that flows with milk and honey, or given us inheritance of fields and vineyards.
You see that? We have not achieved fast enough. All right? We had a timeline on salvation. All right? I mean, we done gave you some time here. All right? And we have not achieved the salvation that we desired. So we think you should be removed as captain. Go ahead.
Will you put out the eyes of these men? We will not come up. And Moshe was very angry and said unto Yahweh, Respect not you their offering.
Respect not their offering. At this point, it don't matter what they bring. They have upset the wrong individual. It don't matter what they bring. They can bring $2, $2,000. So Yahweh don't see it. Go ahead.
I have not taken one ass from them, neither have I hurt one of them.
It is amazing how many of our leaders have made that statement. Why do they have to make it though? Go ahead.
And Moshe said unto Korah, Be you and all your company before Yahweh, you and they and Aaron tomorrow, and take every man his censer, and put incense in them, and bring you before Yahweh every man his censer, 250 censers, you also and Aaron, each of you his censer. And they took every man his censer and put fire in them, and laid incense thereon, and stood in the door of the tabernacle of the congregation with Moshe and Aaron.
You know, it is amazing how bold arrogance really is. You know, at some point, your arrogance should subside and you say, you know what, man, this is going too far. No. Get your incense, get your censer, and let's stand before y'all. There should be a point where you're like, you know what, man, this done went too far. But you know, pride will keep us going past where we should go. At some point where you should go ahead and say, no, you know what, no, I don't want to stand before Elohim against you. My words have been enough. Go ahead.
And Korah gathered all the congregation against them onto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, And the glory of Yahweh appeared unto all the congregation.
Now understand. Korah gathered all the congregation against them unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. We be tripping. Go ahead.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and unto Aaron, saying, Separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. And they fell upon their faces, and said, O Elohim, the El of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and will you be angry with all the congregation? And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the congregation, saying, Get you up from about the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Moshe rose up and went on to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spake unto the congregation, saying, Depart, I pray you, from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest you be consumed in all their sins.
Now, first of all, we have to look at the cry for mercy for the other individual. You understand at this point, Yahweh killing everything. He said, shall one man sin, and will you be angry with the entire congregation? He's look. I'm gonna give you a little pause. Go tell him to move. Go tell him to move. Go ahead.
So they got up from the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram on every side. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood in the door of their tents, and their wives and their sons and their little children.
So before that, all the people still gathered around. Maybe some just to see. Yahweh said, you'd better tell them to move. We don't even understand that sometimes being in close proximity to evil connects you to the evil. I said, no. You, I'm going to kill you with them. You better make a difference between you and them. How am I going to do that? There better be a space between you and them. Go ahead.
And Moshe said, Hereby you shall know that Yahweh had sent me to do all these works, for I have not done them of mine own mind. If these men die the common death of all men, or if they be visited after the visitation of all men, then Yahweh has not sent me. But if Yahweh make a new thing, and the earth open her mouth and swallow them up with all that appertain unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then you shall understand that these men have provoked Yahweh. And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words, that the ground clave asunder that was under them. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their houses, and all the men that appertained unto Korah, and all their goods.
When you read something like this and you've never seen anything like this, you say, you know what, this sounds like make believe. I was watching something on the internet, and it was showing the sinkholes. And I'm looking at a thing, and I watch like 2-3 trees completely disappear right before my eyes. I'm watching the trees go down into the sinkhole, and then it doesn't even look like a hole anymore. And I was flabbergasted that it just sucked it up, and it went down into the earth, and you never saw it again. But when you read something like this and you don't have any visual to connect that to, you say, I don't know. But it's funny how sometimes we have to see something, and then that becomes a sign unto us that it can happen. Go ahead.
Verse 33. They and all that appertained to them went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed upon them.
All that decided that they weren't going to separate themselves from. Go ahead.
And they perished from among the congregation, and all Israel that were round about them fled at the cry of them. For they said, Lest the earth swallow us up also. And there came out a fire from Yahweh, and consumed the 250 men that offered incense. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, that he take up the censers out of the burning, and scatter you the fire yonder, for they are hallowed. The censers of these sinners against their own souls, let them make them broad plates for a covering of the altar. For they offered them before Yahweh, therefore they are hallowed. And they shall be a sign unto the children of Israel.
Right. So now we got a covering for the altar made out of when he set them on fire. And it serves as a reminder for anybody else that want to approach unto the altar, and this ain't your job. If you want to find something to play with, I'm trying to tell you, Yahweh not it. Go ahead.
And Eleazar the priest took the brazen censers wherewith they that were burnt had offered, and they were made broad plates for a covering of the altar, to be a memorial unto the children of Israel, that no stranger, which is not of the seed of Aaron, come near to offer incense before Yahweh, that he be not as Korah and as his company, as Yahweh said to him by the hand of Moshe.
Now, this sounds really, really harsh that Yahweh like set them on fire, right? I mean, man, this sounds harsh. But like when you offer something to Yahweh, what happens to his portion?
It's consumed by the fire.
It's consumed in the fire. Sometimes you understand just enough to get yourself killed. You need to sit in a seat that you have been assigned to and stay in that seat. Sometimes you know just enough to get your full self killed. They didn't understand that they were coming. You do know if you come close enough and you not the priest, the only thing you can be is a sacrifice. This is why it is dangerous to think you understand his word. Stay in the place that you have. They got close enough to him and he said, look, if you come this close, you can't be but one or two things. You either got to be a priest or an offering. Oh, it's an offering. There it is. Consume that. Go ahead.
But on the morrow, all the congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moshe and against Aaron, saying, you have killed the people of Yahweh.
You know, this us. This us. Can't believe you was mean to those nice people. All they wanted to do was kill you and take your spot. For the which you suffered for and labored, went and stayed in a strange land, lived among strange people. Okay, go ahead.
But these are the same people I just saved y'all yesterday and told y'all to get away. That's why y'all still alive to come against me.
Hey, won't they do it? You talking to the club president. Hey, be the very ones that you done saved, them the ones who coming after you. Right. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when the congregation was gathered against Moshe and against Aaron, that they looked toward the tabernacle of the congregation, and behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory of Yahweh appeared. And Moshe and Aaron came before the tabernacle of the congregation. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, get you up from among this congregation, that I may consume them as in a moment. And they fell upon their faces.
Same thing they were told before. But this is where you have to, man, Yahweh have to really work on you, when you're a leader. He has to, give you some thick skin. And that's just like, there are various leaders. See, a lot of times when we hear leader, we think the leader. No. There are various leaders who are leaders over the things that they are supposed to be in charge of. And some are being trained to be a leader of something else. This is something that leaders will have. You have to end up getting thick skin. You're going to deal with Israel. Because you got thin skin, your feelings going to get hurt. Because we hurt it feelings. Matter of fact, we look for feelings to hurt. I mean, if Yahshua can say, does this offend you? And then he go in deeper. Oh, yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
And Moshe said unto Aaron, take a censer, and put fire therein from off the altar, and put on incense, and go quickly unto the congregation, and make an atonement for them, for there is anger gone out from Yahweh. The plague is begun.
Right. You can pray all you want. You can do all that. When Yahweh has decided, I am about to take care of this people. Done deal. You better figure out how to stop me. Go ahead.
You know, one thing you see with Moshe, he never steps out of his place because he's telling Aaron what to do. But you don't see him push himself to run and go do it.
Move. Give me the incense. Give me some fire, boy. Not nan time. You know what kind of restraint you have to practice to do that? Hey, man, it's one of the things, man. I know y'all give me a mic when you doing New Moon. I try not to talk. And it's hard. I be sitting over that. Sometimes I gotta get up and go in the kitchen. But then how y'all gonna get used to doing it if I keep doing it? I gotta get up and go somewhere. Like what Priscilla was when kids were doing such and such. He in there trying not to speak. Go ahead.
And Aaron took as Moshe commanded, and ran into the midst of the congregation. And, behold, the plague was begun among the people. And he put on incense and made an atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed.
Hey, man, you got to have some gumption to stand in between Yahweh and the people who've been running off at the mouth to you. Now, this is some real leader stuff right here. This is some stuff that you want to look up and say, you know what, I'd like to be like this someday. That I could stand in the breach for some people who done all but dogged me out. Go ahead.
Now they that died in the plague were 14,700, beside them that died about the matter of Korah. And Aaron returned unto Moshe unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the plague was stayed.
The plague was stayed. Moshe knew what to do, and that was a very good point, brother. But he didn't jump and go do it. That is very interesting. Now, we are told to pray for those that despitefully use you. The despiteful users of Yah never care that his leaders have put themselves and their livelihood in jeopardy to preserve them. They are only interested in how it may profit them. As soon as it appears to lose its prosperity in their eyes, the names of those once reverend leaders become of no value to them. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4. Genesis chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 1 through 8.
Genesis chapter 4 and verse 1. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I've gotten a man from Yahweh. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yah. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, and of the fat thereof.
Automatically, there's a difference in those offerings. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahweh. He brought something, but then Abel, he brought the firstlings of his flock. He has respected Yahweh in the way in which he brought his offering. Go ahead.
And Yahweh had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect.
Right. Because what he did was just gave Yahweh some stuff. What Abel gave was the very first fruits of his gain unto Yahweh. Cain offered whatever he had left over. Go ahead.
And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. And Yahweh said unto Cain, Why are you angry? And why is your countenance fallen? If you does well, shall you not be accepted? And if you does not well, sin lies at the door.
Should I not accept your brother? He offered a more pure offering than what you offered. Should I not accept it? Go ahead.
And unto you shall be his desire, and you shall rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him.
Right. So when it says, why are you angry? He was angry that his brother's offering was accepted and his was not. Sometimes that's all it takes for us to become an enemy of someone, is for Yahweh to not accept their offering. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 22. You're asking yourself, what did I do to them? Oh, you didn't do nothing to them. It wasn't really about you and them. It's about you and your God. Your God accepted your offering but didn't accept theirs. Now you have somehow become their enemy. You notice that his anger was not directed toward Yahweh, right? Yahweh is the one speaking. Yahweh is the one telling him about how sin is lying at his door. Yahweh is the one explaining all of it. Yahweh was the one who accepted one offering and rejected another. But he didn't show his anger toward Yahweh. He showed his anger toward the one whose offering was accepted. You should get that concept, because it's the very thing that causes people to lose so-called friends in this word. 1 Kings 22, let's read verses 5 through 9.
And Jehoshaphat said unto the king of Israel, Inquire, I pray you, at the word of Yahweh today. Then the king of Israel gathered the prophets together, about 400 men, and said unto them, Shall I go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear? And they said, Go up, for the Adonai shall deliver it into the hand of the king. And Jehoshaphat said, Is there not here a prophet of Yahweh besides?
Right.
That we might...
See, this is something that you have to learn, that at this point, you got 400 on your friends list. You know what I'm saying? They all like your post. But look here. Those are all your friends. These are the friends on your page. I need somebody from Yahweh page. Now, although you got 400 likes on your post, I just need one like. Get me somebody from Yahweh's page to like the post. Just one. I know you got 400 of yours. I will suffice with one from Yahweh. Go ahead.
That we might inquire of him.
Uh-huh.
And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, There is yet one man.
There is one man that's on Yahweh's page. Go ahead.
Micaiah the son of Imlah, by whom we may inquire of Yahweh, but I hate him.
But I hate him. There is one man who is on Yahweh's page, but I hate him. Go ahead.
For he does not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. And Jehoshaphat said, Let not the king say so. Then the king of Israel called an officer and said, Hasten hither Micaiah the son of Imlah.
Now, we have to understand that the leaders won't be the best named among men. The reason is, once you have to speak against someone for their wrongdoings, they remove you from their list of great people. The people who make their great list are the ones who know nothing of their deception, or they agree with their deception. A leader has to decide who he or she wants to be labeled great by. If it is men, then all you have to do is agree with their decisions, and they will call you great. If it is indeed Elohim, then you're going to have to deal with some things and change some of your ways. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 2. You see how quick it is to make an enemy in Israel? Just speak that which is true, and your friends list going to get shorter. Even Yahshua said, you know what? You're in trouble when men say all these great things about you. And why they saying all them good things about you? Because you ain't saying nothing about the evil. That's why they saying all them good things about you. When you start calling them out, hey man, you must not lie, you must not steal, you must not take Yah's name in vain. You know what? Take Esau's name off this damn list. Oh, okay. Oh, I see how my name got off the list. Oh, okay. But that means when my name got off somebody's list, it got on somebody else's. I'd rather be on his. Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 2 and verse 1. And he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon your feet, and I'll speak unto you. And the Spirit entered into me when he spake unto me, and set me upon my feet, and I heard him that spake unto me. And he said unto me, Son of man, I send you to the children of Israel, to a rebellious nation that has rebelled against me.
All right, now get yourself together. I got a job for you. All right? But I'm telling you now, lace up your sandals all the way up. Go ahead.
They and their fathers have transgressed against me, even unto this very day. For they are impudent children and stiff-hearted. I do send you unto them, and you shall say unto them, Thus says the Adonai Yah. And they, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are a rebellious house, yet shall know that there has been a prophet among them.
They will know that a prophet has been among them. But go ahead and say what I'm telling you to say. But I'm telling you, this is a rebellious house I'm sending you to. Go ahead.
And you, son of man, be not afraid of them, neither be afraid of their words.
If you're going to be a leader of Yahweh, I don't care what it is that he puts you in charge of. You can't be afraid of folk feelings. This don't mean that you go around hurting people's feelings, though. But you cannot be afraid of the looks on their faces because a job has to be done. Go ahead.
Though briars and thorns be with you, and you does well among scorpions. Be not afraid of their words, nor be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. And you shall speak my words unto them, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are most rebellious.
Now, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, what is he saying? He said it ain't your job to make them listen. Understand your job. It is not your job to make anybody hear. It is your job to speak the words. Whether they listen or whether they don't, that's not your job. Just do the part of the job that I have given you. All right? Trying to figure out how they operate in it, that ain't none of your job. I'll take care of the rest. You just do your part. Go ahead.
But you, son of man, hear what I say unto you. Be not you rebellious like that rebellious house. Open your mouth and eat that I give you. And when I looked, behold, an hand was sent unto me, and lo, a roll of a book was therein. And he spread it before me, and it was written within and without. And there was written therein lamentations and mourning and woe.
All right, now if he's giving them lamentation, mourning, and woe, he has been sent to give them some very unhappy news. He's not going to tell them all of these nice things about how much God loved him and how rich God wanted him to be. That's not what he was sent to do. And we have to consider that when we're called to do a job, then that is the job that Yahweh is going to expect from us. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 1. So you can't really go to your Elohim and say, yeah, I did a job. Well, that's nice. What about the one that I gave you, though? No, I did a job. No. You either did the job or you didn't do a job. I gave you a job. Did you do that job? All right, then. Well, your works are fruitless. Jeremiah chapter 1, and we're going to start with verses 4 through 8.
Then the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. And before you came forth out of the womb, I sanctified you. And I ordained you a prophet unto the nations.
Now, we have to consider that. Before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. A lot of times we get to a point in our life and we believe that we found Elohim and we did all of these things. Have you considered that maybe from the absolute beginning, he had already decided exactly who was going to be in this room and decided exactly who would be watching us on the internet? Some of us may be looking at situations and say, I came, from a broken home. My mother and my father was not together. They did exactly what they were supposed to do, which is make you. Go ahead.
Then said I, Ah, Adonai, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child. But Yahweh said unto me, Say not, I am a child, for you shall go to all that I shall send you, and whatsoever I command you, you shall speak. Be not afraid of their faces.
Now, wait a minute. This is the second prophet that he's telling them not to be afraid of the people. See, when you're given a job like that, you have to understand that you can't possibly make everybody happy. And you got to understand that you're not going to be on everybody's friends list. Go ahead.
For I am with you to deliver you, says Yahweh.
Jump to verse 16.
And I'll utter my judgments against them, touching all their wickedness, who have forsaken me, and have burnt incense unto other gods, and worshiped the works of their own hands.
And I will utter my judgments. So those people, you can guarantee you that those people don't have anything nice to say about you. I hope you understand that. They don't have jack to say good about you. You are coming to utter the judgments that Elohim is presenting against them. Go ahead.
You therefore gird up your loins and arise, and speak unto them all that I command you. Be not dismayed at their faces, lest I confound you before them.
If you end up feeling some type of way, I'm going to do something to you. Gird up your loins like a man, then go and say the stuff that I done told you to say. You gotta, what we don't consider is that the man who's going to say these things doesn't actually want to say these things. We never consider, you just think that he's happy to go in here and just whoop up on these people and hurt their feelings. He might be crying before he even walk, but he know he can't cry standing up there because that was part of the Yahweh. You better not be dismayed. So he got to go cry first and get himself together. And he might cry after, but he won't cry during. He's going to go and he's going to proclaim it unless he's telling them, how sad he feel about it. But nonetheless, this is what's going to happen to you. Go ahead.
For, behold, I have made you this day a fenced city, and an iron pillar, and brazen walls against the whole land, against the kings of Judea, against the princes thereof, against the priests thereof, and against the people of the land. And they shall fight against you, but they shall not prevail against you. For I am with you, says Yahweh, to deliver you.
I am with you to deliver you, but they gonna fight against you. Have we considered what's going to happen when they open those prison doors? And these your people now. And those soft, cushiony houses and whatever that we have, you're not going to have those. You're going to be on the same road walking with them. And freedom is new to them. Like they're not just used to like walking right beside, a little girl and oh, look, here's your daughter. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 12. So there's certain things that we just take for granted because we haven't had to deal with it. 1 Samuel chapter 12, and let's start that at verse 1.
And Samuel said unto all Israel, Behold, I have hearkened unto your voice in all that you said unto me, and have made a king over you. And now, behold, the king walks before you, and I am old and gray-headed. And, behold, my sons are with you, and I have walked before you from my childhood unto this day. Behold, here I am. Witness against me before Yahweh, and before his anointed. Whose ox have I taken? Or whose ass have I taken? Or whom have I defrauded?
Now, why do these leaders keep having to ask these questions? Why does Moshe have to make this statement? I have not taken one ass from them. Respect not their offering. Then you have one of the greatest prophets said, who have I taken something from? Why does this keep having to be said unto Israel? Go ahead.
Whom have I oppressed? Or of whose hand have I received any bribe to blind my eyes therewith? And I'll restore it you. And they said, You have not defrauded us, nor oppressed us, neither have you taken aught of any man's hand. And he said unto them, Yahweh is witness against you, and his anointed is witness this day, that you have not found aught in my hand. And they answered, He is witness.
And it is amazing. He's got to put forth this so that it is of public record. Go ahead.
And Samuel said unto the people, It is Yahweh that advanced Moshe and Aaron, and that brought your fathers up out of the land of Egypt. Now therefore stand still, that I may reason with you before Yahweh of all the righteous acts of Yahweh, which he did to you and to your fathers. When Jacob was come into Egypt, and your fathers cried unto Yahweh, then Yahweh sent Moshe and Aaron, which brought forth your fathers out of Egypt, and made them dwell in this place. And when they forgot Yahweh their El, he sold them into the hand of Sisera, captain of the host of Hazar, and into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hand of the king of Moab, and they fought against them.
Now, verse 9, and when they forgot Yahweh. If you want to go back into slavery, I can tell you a really foolproof way to do it. Because it pretty much happens to us over and over and over. Every time we separate far enough from Yahweh, another captivity is on the way. Go ahead.
And they cried unto Yahweh, and said, We have sinned, because we have forsaken Yahweh, and have served Baalim and Ashtaroth. But now deliver us out of the hand of our enemies, and we will serve you. And Yahweh sent Jerubbaal, and Bedan, and Jephthah, and Samuel, and delivered you out of the hand of your enemies on every side, and you dwelt safe.
All of these were Messiah types, if you will, that came and saved Israel. So Israel was always having to have some Messiah. Because we had a problem walking consistently in the word of Yahweh. Go ahead.
And when you saw the Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, come against you, you said unto me, No, but a king shall reign over us, when Yahweh your El was your king.
Right. So they didn't just change and say, you know what, your sons are not as righteous as you. Choose us some other prophets or priests or whatever to be over us. Instead, they wanted the entire foundation changed. Give us a king. Now, we don't want you to be king anymore. No, we need a king that we can see. Go ahead.
Now therefore, behold the king whom you have chosen, and whom you have desired. And, behold, Yahweh has set a king over you. If you will fear Yahweh, and serve him, and obey his voice, and not rebel against the commandment of Yahweh, then shall both you and also the king that reigns over you continue following Yahweh your El.
Right. So if you will fear Yahweh and serve him, So now it then becomes the problem or duty of the person in charge to make sure that the spirit of Yahweh resides with Israel. In other words, that person has to enforce the law to make sure that the spirit of Yahweh is not driven out. An enforcer of the law is not the most liked person in town. So that means right off the rip, Yahweh is looking for a pool of individuals who really don't give a damn like that. Just telling you what he's looking for. Because sometimes people will say, well, why would Yahweh choose that person? Oh, there's a bitsy piece of him that don't give a damn. What you think, what you feel, or what you believe. See, there's one thing about when you deal with somebody who was a soldier. None of that stuff matters. What matters, what were your orders? Where is your protection behind your orders? A whole lot of people run up with emotion, such. Hey, man, I really feel you. That's a really bad situation. But my orders are thus and thus. But I really think we ought to do such and such. You know what? I agree with you. But I'm not going to agree with you. Because those are not my orders. Go ahead.
But if you will not obey the voice of Yahweh, but rebel against the commandment of Yahweh, then shall the hand of Yahweh be against you, as it was against your fathers.
Mm-hmm.
Now therefore stand and see this great thing, which Yahweh will do before your eyes. Is it not wheat harvest today? I will call on to Yahweh, and he shall send thunder and rain, that you may perceive and see that your wickedness is great, which you have done in the sight of Yahweh, in asking you a king.
Right. It never does occur to us that we have asked for something so unrighteous that judgment comes for us. It really didn't seem like asking for a king was that foul. But what we said is, I don't really respect your leadership, Yahweh. That's what we said. Go ahead.
So Samuel called on to Yahweh, and Yahweh sent thunder and rain that day.
Now, you start to understand, if Yahweh wants to make Moshe feel his plight, then he has to make sure that Moshe is betrayed. He has to make sure that the people desire another leader. They said, let's get together and appoint us a captain. And let's go in the opposite direction of where Moshe was leading us. For Moshe to truly feel the plight of his God, he's got to be betrayed. Only then does he understand Yahweh. So be careful about the job you ask for, because it comes with it its own set of pitfalls. Go ahead.
And all the people greatly feared Yahweh and Samuel. And all the people said unto Samuel, Pray for your servants unto Yahweh your El, that we die not, for we have added unto all our sins this evil, to ask us a king. And Samuel said unto the people, Fear not, ye have done all this wickedness, yet turn not aside from following Yahweh, but serve Yahweh with all your heart, and turn you not aside, for then should you go after vain things, which cannot profit nor deliver, for they are vain. For Yahweh will not forsake his people for his great name's sake, because it has pleased Yahweh to make you his people. Moreover, as for me, Elohim forbid that I should sin against Yahweh in ceasing to pray for you, but I'll teach you the good and the right way. Only fear Yahweh and serve him in truth with all your heart. For consider how great things he has done for you. But if you shall still do wickedly, you shall be consumed, both you and your king.
So even the king that you have requested is not going to be able to save you if you still decide to walk against the statutes that were given unto you. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Psalms chapter 35. Psalm 35, and we're going to read verses 1 through 28.
Verse 1. Plead my cause, O Yahweh, with them that strive with me. Fight against them that fight against me. Take hold of shield and buckler, and stand up for mine help. Draw out also the spear, and stop the way against them that persecute me. Say unto my soul, I am your salvation. Let them be confounded and put to shame that seek after my soul. Let them be turned back and brought to confusion that devise my hurt.
We don't understand. A lot of times we have placed ourselves in, positions where, things are going, pretty good for us. But we have, it is the facade of peace. When all the things hit the fan, you're going to find out that the people who are around you were never really at peace with you. And that's a really strange moment. When something happens and you look up and see that there were people hoping for your downfall. We're gonna figure that out in a lot of places. Like, I was telling, brothers, just like this area, there was a point where this was all Gentile. There were no black people around these areas. We wasn't even allowed to be in these areas. Matter of fact, you was allowed to be in these areas to work. And by the time it started getting dark, if you didn't live in one of them shacks, you better get on up out of here. See, when the real crap hits the fan, we're going to find out just how close we have gotten to our enemies, because they're going to show you exactly who they are. We're going to figure that out the hard way. Go ahead.
Let them be as chaff before the wind, and let the angel of Yahweh chase them. Let their way be dark and slippery, and let the angel of Yahweh persecute them. For without cause have they hid for me their net in a pit, which without cause they have digged for my soul. Let destruction come upon him at unawares, and let his net that he hid catch himself. Into that very destruction let him fall. And my soul shall be joyful in Yahweh, it shall rejoice in his salvation. All my bones shall say, Yahweh, who is like unto you, which delivereth the poor from him that is too strong for him, yea, the poor and the needy from him that spoils him. False witnesses did rise up. They laid to my charge things that I knew not.
They laid to my charge things that I knew not. But even when they brought forth, the false witnesses came before Yahshua, he didn't try to defend himself. Understand how interesting this gets, okay? The woman knew that Yahshua was a prophet because he was able to tell every man that she'd been with. He said, go get your husband. She said, I don't have a husband. He said, you've had 5 husbands and the one you have now is not your own. She was like, well, I know this is a prophet. Now imagine you have somebody coming forth to him as a false witness, and he knows enough about them to completely turn the tide. But being a good leader, he keeps it to himself. Go ahead.
They rewarded me even for good, to the spoiling of my soul. But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth.
But people forget about that. They only care about that when they are able to benefit from the information that you have. But when it is no longer beneficial, your name turned back to the same mud that it was before. Go ahead.
I humbled my soul with fasting, and my prayer returned into mine own bosom.
The very ones that you prayed for pray on you. You pray for them and they pray on you. Go ahead.
I behaved myself as though he had been my friend or brother.
Uh-huh.
I bowed down heavily as one that mourns for his mother.
Mm-hmm.
But in mine adversity they rejoiced.
In mine adversity, they rejoiced. They had that little smirk on their face while saying that they care about you. And you recognize that smirk. Right. Go ahead.
And gathered themselves together. Yea, the abjects gathered themselves together against me, and I knew it not. They did tear me and cease not.
So they were having, it says, they gathered themselves against me and I knew it not. Hey, Moshe found out today the 250 were together. That group might have started with 5. But let me show you how your Elohim will sit there and still protect you. And part of your protection is that he don't tell you right away what they're doing. He'll let you know just in time. Because what if he tells you, hey man, the 5 dudes in the back having a meeting about how they can remove you? Then what you do? Who won't smoke with me? Now you going to them 5, right? Here's the problem. There's 245 more. You left 245. Who won't you go? So your Elohim has to sit there in silence and let them grow and keep you blind so that you don't step your big foot in his business. Hey, I think them brothers went to a movie. Sure they did. Shut up. Don't worry about that. That ain't none of your business. Why you coming at me like that, Yahweh? Shut up, boy. Got 245 more to go. Because if I get these 5, I'm telling you, you know how many times I divide 5 into 245. Tell me what you get up with. Do you understand how many times I'm going to have to do this? Just shut up and do what I'm telling you and let me go ahead and get these other 245. Then I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. But I can't tell you now because you knows it and you're stupid. I know you're my servant and I chose you, but you knows it and you're stupid. If I tell you now, you're going to mess it up. So let me go get this other 245 for you. And I'll let you know after that. Go ahead.
With hypocritical mockers and feasts, they gnashed upon me with their teeth. Adonai, how long will you look on? Rescue my soul from their destructions, my darling from the lions. I'll give you thanks in the great congregation. I'll praise you among much people. Let not them that are mine enemies wrongfully rejoice over me, neither let them wink with the eye that hate me without a cause. For they speak not peace, but they devise deceitful matters against them that are quiet in the land. Yea, they opened their mouth wide against me, and said, Aha, aha, I had seen it. This you have seen, O Yahweh, keep not silence. O Adonai, be not far from me. Stir up yourself, and awake to my judgment, even unto my cause, my Elohim and my Adonai. Judge me, O Yahweh, my Elohim, according to your righteousness, and let them not rejoice over me. Let them not say in their hearts, so would we have it. Let them not say, we have swallowed him up. Let them be ashamed and brought to confusion together that rejoice at mine hurt. Let them be clothed with shame and dishonor that magnify themselves against me. Let them shout for joy and be glad that favor my righteous cause. Yea, let them say continually, let Yahweh be magnified, which has pleasure in the prosperity of his servant. And my tongue shall speak of your righteousness and of your praise all the day long.
All the day long. It's a reason why it says that is able to maintain to the end. There's a reason why it says that. So at some point along this way, we have to decide, who do we want to be called great by? Do we want to be called great by the likes of men, or do we want to be looked at as great in the eyes of Yahweh? For Moshe was looked at greatly toward Yahweh. But do you understand how many people disrespected Moshe? Made accusations of what kind of man he was? Made accusations about who he married, what he did, all of that. At some point, we're going to have to make a decision. Because there are leaders among us. There's not a situation where there's just one leader. We got a great job to do. And people are being trained for jobs that they don't even know they're going to have. So some of these things you might be listening and say, man, that's really nice, but it ain't got nothing to do with me. That is some really good information. He should go find some leaders and tell them that. Same thing I said to my teacher. So that's some really interesting stuff you saying. Yeah, man, when you find some people who that fit, that's going to be deep. And he gave me that look. He said, boy, I tell you, man, you so stupid. I didn't get that look then. I get it now. I get it now. But he couldn't tell me. I tell you now, you're going to ruin it. So let us consider these things because Yahweh has a job for us and we must not return unto our Elohim unfruitful. We must provide fruit in the time and season that our Adonai seeks for it. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.